Hi, Covenant family. I'm going to share today with you also about Psalm 23, as Pastor Chris did yesterday, but just in a little bit of a different format. You know, my heart for children and my heart for children during this time is still just as big as it is every day. So, I want to share a resource for parents and grandparents that you might want to use with your children about Psalm 23. One of my favorite devotional books for children is called Sammy and His Shepherd. It's written by Susan Hunt. This looks like the little cover to it. And when my granddaughter was here a couple weeks ago, I actually went through this devotional with her every night. She called it her Sammy book. The Sammy book is 11 chapters, and then at the end of the book, it actually has questions for you to ask your children or your grandchildren as you do it with them about what they've just read. And the story is told about Psalm 23 from the perspective of a little sheep named Sammy. And Sammy belongs to the good shepherd who takes care of him. He has befriended another little sheep who is not well cared for by her shepherd. The good shepherd eventually redeems the little sheep that's not been well cared for and brings her into his flock. He names her Precious. Sammy and Precious then go on a journey through each of the parts of the psalm, and it explains the psalm from a redemptive point of view and helps the children and you see Jesus. I'm going to give you an example of that today as I read this, and I think this will be an encouragement to you. Chapter 6, the title is, Even Though I Walk Through the Valley of the Shadow of Death, I Will Fear No Evil, for You Are With Me. The sheep, when they went to the high pastures, had to travel through the valley, and the cliffs on either side made it easy for robbers or for animals like wolves to attack the sheep. And so it was scary. It was a scary place for the shepherd to take the sheep through. And in this, our little Precious is afraid. And so she says to Sammy, I'm afraid to climb up the high mountains. You don't have to be afraid, said Sammy. Our shepherd is with us. But there is something very important you must remember. What? Tell me quickly. Sammy smiled. Our shepherd is always before us, leading the way. When it is dark and you can't see him, just listen for his voice. Do you think I'll recognize his voice? Precious asked. Oh, yes. You will know his voice because you belong to him. He will guide us through the valleys and up to the places that he has prepared for us. The next day, the flock started on the journey. They slowly climbed uphill, then they came to a valley. The verdant grass was yummy, but the mountains and cliffs on all sides made the valley seem dark and scary. Precious was still weak, and she soon grew tired, and she could not keep up with the rest of the flock. She became very afraid and started to cry. What if they leave me and I get lost, she thought. But then she saw the shepherd coming back for her. She heard his strong and gentle voice say, My little Precious, are you tired and afraid? Let me carry you for a while. He picked her up and he gently cradled her in his strong arms. Precious relaxed. As the shepherd carried her along, she thought, Now I'm not afraid. I will fear no evil in this scary valley because my shepherd is with me. Covenant friends, teach yourselves and teach your children that while we are in this dark valley, we can still hear the shepherd's voice, and he still cares for us, and we can relax into his arms. If you're interested in the book, I will put a link to where you can find it in the comment section. It was precious to read with my granddaughter. For those of you who have grandchildren, you could send it to them and get yourself a copy and read it across FaceTime or Zoom with them and enjoy some snuggle time even though you're not together, and have some good conversations about Jesus with your grandchildren. Mommies and daddies, this will comfort you and comfort your children as well as you look into God's Word.